What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Daily Drop. I am Andrew Jones, formerly THI publisher. We're kind of going with the moniker THI right now as we are on a bridge to our next stop. Some of us from what was once known as Tar Heel Illustrated will be endeavoring into our next situation. I really can't say much more than that. I know some people get annoyed, but I can't. I'm not allowed to say anything until the full staff roster is put together, until it's time to make some kind of announcement. So whether I wanted to or not doesn't matter. I can't. So I think you guys hopefully understand that. But within the next few weeks, you'll know what's going on, what is next. And we need to within the next few weeks, because guess what? Football practice is August 1st. The opener is September 1st, and I want to talk about that here in this Daily Drop. And that opener is TCU Labor Day night, exclusive national TV for North Carolina, a wonderful opportunity to showcase a new program under a fascinating regime of Bill Belichick, Michael Lombardi, and everybody underneath them. Carolina has made the effort before with coaching hires that they thought could really catapult UNC past where it has often bumped its head but never pierced through. Just in the last, 20 years, Butch Davis, Mac Brown the second time, and now Bill Belichick. But I want to talk about the team they're playing that night, because I hear people talking about Carolina, and I had some conversations last weekend and when I was in Wilmington visiting my dad. So people are reaching out. I read stuff out there. People are dismissing the TCU game as if it's not that big a deal, like not going to be very difficult. A lot of Carolina fans, the focus is all on, it's Belichick's first game. Because there are some unknowns with the Tar Heels. Defensive line's an unknown. I think quarterback's an unknown. It's not great to have defensive line and quarterback as unknowns. I mean, it could end up being no issue, both spots. But right now, it's an unknown. What is known is that TCU is a good program. What is known is that TCU is going to come into Chapel Hill expecting to win. That is an absolute. Sonny Dykes knows what he's doing. I'm going to read off some numbers here just so people understand that TCU coming in isn't like when Illinois came in 10 years ago, or, I'm trying to think of some other non-conference opponents that Carolina's played. Teams like that. Here's some realities about TCU football. 13 times this century, the Horned Frogs have won at least 10 games. 13 times this century, the Horned Frogs have finished ranked in the final AP poll. 8 times this century, TCU has finished ranked among the top 10. It's happened just 7 times in North Carolina's entire football history. TCU's done it 8 times this century. They have legendary coach Gary Patterson. I know it didn't end great there, but man, he did it. He got it going and did it in a big way. 11 different seasons in his 21 years, TCU won 10 or more games. They played in the national title game 2.5 years ago under the current coach. There's still some players on the roster that were a part of that. That doesn't happen by accident. By the way, Oklahoma and Texas were in the Big 12 when that happened. They went past all of them. Last year's team, 9-4. Beat Stanford on the road, beat Kansas by 11, beat Utah, Texas Tech, beat Arizona. Remember how good Arizona was supposed to be? Beat them by 21. Losses, the 4 losses at Central Florida by 1. Probably a bad loss. Central Florida wasn't very good last year. Clobbered at SMU 66-42. SMU did that to a lot of people. Lost by 11 to Houston. Lost by 3 at Baylor. Still went 9-4. They were better than North Carolina last year. There's absolutely no argument about that. This is a better program over the last 25 years, quarter century, and this entire century than North Carolina. Did you know TCU has a Heisman winner in its history? North Carolina doesn't. 2-time runner-up with Choo-Choo They don't have that hardware. This is a good program. It's a proud program. It's a program that's going to come into Kenan Stadium on Labor Day night expecting to win. And guess what? They've got some players that can do it. They're returning a quarterback named Josh Hoover, who passed for almost 4,000 yards last year. People say he's a legitimate NFL prospect. 4,000 yards is 4,000 yards. Threw for almost 30 touchdown passes. They've got offensive linemen back. I think 3 or 4 starters. They got a dude who started 2 years ago who missed last year with an injury. So Hoover's going to get protection. So that front line that I'm concerned with about Carolina, if they can't get any protection and don't stop the run very well, Hoover's going to have a field day. Carolina's going to have to outscore him. I'm telling you that right now, little less than 2 months before the game. The defense at TCU has been kind of inconsistent. Remember, SMU scored 66 points against them last year. And as good as SMU was, it generally wasn't that prolific against others. It was prolific enough, but wasn't like that. Of course, that's a rivalry game, and sometimes that stuff gets out of hand. The strength defensively coming in, if you read all the prognosticators, they say it's in the secondary. So Carolina may have to run the ball well. They may have to win the game running the ball, keeping TCU's offense off the field, that passing game off the field, and win the game that way. And I looked up a bunch of early predictions. Of course, this stuff doesn't mean anything because football never works out the way it's predicted, but generally pick between 3rd and 9th in the Big 12. And I will note that almost everyone who does their Big 12 prognostications, all these guys that cover the Big 12, are all saying it's a kind of a crapshoot. Most say Kansas State's the team to beat, but mixed up in there is Colorado and Iowa State and BYU, those teams. And TCU, Texas Tech, another one. So Carolina fans need to understand that the team coming in for the opener is a good football program with a very proud tradition and a program that has been so much better than North Carolina's this century that it's not even a conversation. So much better. So for UNC to look ahead to this game, and if it gets a win, that is a very good win for this program. Regardless of what kind of team TCU has at the end of the season, Carolina hasn't beaten many programs this century that have had the success of TCU this century. So disrobe yourself of all the, well, this is an easy non-conference schedule, because I don't think going to Central Florida with a new regime there is all that easy either, especially if that's a night game. I don't think that's easy. And this certainly isn't easy. There's a lot more newness to North Carolina than there is to TCU. The advantage is TCU doesn't know what to scout. North Carolina at least knows some things to scout. But TCU knows itself a lot better than Carolina does. Carolina's going to have to figure it out on the fly under that microscope that night. This will be a difficult game, and a lot of smart people I know think TCU can, and many also think will, win the game. Let us know what you think. How difficult do you think this opener is? Have you maybe overlooked TCU? And maybe you're going to give TCU a different glare now, a different opportunity to be taken a little bit more seriously. I'm going to reiterate. I'm amazed that some people I've talked to and things I've read, people just dismiss them like it's North Carolina A&T coming in. That ain't the case, folks. It's a good football team, man. It's a football team that can come in and beat the tar out of Carolina. Pun intended. Like, share, subscribe. Stay with us. We're rolling these out Monday through Friday as we continue our transition into what's next. Hopefully, within the next couple of weeks, we can make a public announcement of the whole staff that we're putting together, and we can start grinding forward. I'm AJ. I really do appreciate y'all stopping by. Thanks.